Hey, what's up? It's your girl, Aida Rodriguez, and this is the latest episode of Truth Serum, where we give it to you straight with no chaser. First and foremost, I'd like to say hello to the village. Those of you who continuously show up and are here to make sure that we have an audience, that you provide your point of view, sometimes your disagreements. Whatever it is, we have a conversation here and I like it. So I just want to say thank you for showing up on a weekly basis. And thank you for sharing the content and telling others about it. Thank you to those who contribute to the show to keep us going. We really appreciate it. And just keep hitting that like button, keep hitting the share, keep telling other people about it. Here we want to have objective conversations with people with differing points of views who look like us. And when I say us, I'm talking about people of color, Black and brown people, women, marginalized people, trans people, all of the human beings who make up this world that we live in. This week, we are going to roast the headlines, as this is a weekly wrap-up show, and we want to make sure that we do not let these suckers slide with what they did this week, because if you know me, then you know that I think that most of them are corrupt and some bullshit. Anyway, we are going to get started, and joining me today is my friend, fellow comedian, writer, producer, actor, and entirely funny, humorous, and great human being, Vanessa Graddick. Vanessa.
Hey.
It's so weird to have this conversation with you right now and get off formal, because we were just talking about our personal lives a little while ago.
Yeah, now we gotta hone in and be professional.
We want to jump into the headlines and talk about it, but first let's talk about you and what's going on with you.
Girl, just trying to make it through the Rona. I am trying to stay busy writing, finally getting the time to actually work on my own projects and work on me, which I never do. So
yeah, because you're currently you're writing and producing on Byron Allen's show.
Funny you should ask. We are currently in hiatus, but season 4 is starting to air, I think, this week. But hopefully we'll be back in the studio soon once they do all the guidelines.
Well, now that the president has the Rona, I guarantee you that there will be some expediting and trying to find out how we're going to deal with this, unless, he drinks some Clorox or some bleach. I mean,
do we believe that he actually has it, or is this a ploy so he can be like, I took the vaccine, it works, everybody take it?
What's funny, one of the things that I was going to talk about is like one of the stories of the week is because we saw a debate or a debacle. We talked about that.
My favorite thing. We'll get to that.
The debate was, what it was. You watched it. So go ahead and share your thoughts on what that debate felt like to you.
Unfortunately, it was a battle for who runs the free world. But outside of that, it was the most hilarious 90-minute special I've ever watched in my life. I was over here cackling like it was get Eddie Murphy raw. It was hilarious. And my mom said we gotta laugh to keep from crying. But it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, it was pretty cartoonish is what I would say. But, it's funny. A lot of the polls came in, and according to a few of the polls that we came across, Joe Biden won the election. According to the NBC News, he won with a 7.9 lead. According to Real Clear Politics, 6.6, and 538's national polling tracker, 7.6. He had a 7.6 lead over Donald Trump. So the reason I mentioned the debate prior to talking about the coronavirus is that there was a lot of people, Rick Santorum, who is a Donald Trump flunky, groupie, whatever you call him, people who feel that he underperformed in that debate. And then there's another debate coming up next week. So one of the theories floating around is how convenient for him to come down with coronavirus, which will, prevent him from participating in the next debate.
And it was all of that. Well, you wear a mask everywhere. Everybody don't need to wear a mask, and it was so comical to me.
Political theater.
It was the second. Well, as far as Biden winning, I felt like he should have won solely based on the fact that he did not punch him in the face when he was like, "I don't know that, son. I'm talking about the crackhead." What are you doing?
Oh my God!
The fact that he didn't mollywop him on the stage. He did
mollywop is my word, which was really interesting because Donald Trump Jr. has been trending for appearing to be on dealing with some sort of addiction or problem because he doesn't seem like he's in his right mind. And so to just say, to just diss somebody's son for dealing with addiction, which so many people in our country are dealing with, I think is just downright dirty. But, what's funny is that people were upset with me because I did say that I felt like Joe Biden performed better than Donald Trump in the debate. And honestly, he performed better by not performing at all because Donald Trump did not give Joe Biden the opportunity to fuck up. He didn't give him the opportunity to he kept cutting him off. He did not allow himself to hang himself. He just kept interrupting him and did not let him play himself. So I thought that, many people are upset because they didn't feel like Joe Biden was forceful enough. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's one of the things that I continuously say is that the right will go wherever they need to go to get what they want. They will throw the baby out with the bathwater for power and in solidarity, whereas the left is so divided and so self-righteous and so driven by this narrative of having to be best, as Melania would say, that they're always getting punked. And at some point, we're gonna fight. Maybe not physical. Maybe we don't need to mollywop somebody physically, but we have to stand up for what we believe in. And it's just sad that it's a sad state that this is where we are in politics, and it's becoming so normal that even when Ted Cruz was on Chris Cuomo's show, the exchange became somewhat antagonistic.
Yes.
And I feel like this is becoming standard for how people in politics and in the public view engage. Can we see that video, Irina?
All troubles me, Ted, and to watch guys like you stand by and stroke your beard like a wise man instead of telling the president to get on it when you have power.
How about tell your brother to get on it?
My brother will stand for his own record. Why don't you talk to the president the way you talk to my brother, Ted? You afraid of him? You think he'll smack you down at home?
Oh,
is that
yeah,
what it is?
I'm
like he shut you up in the primary?
You guys
not
are really
Cuomo's.
tough.
I'm talking about the president. My brother's not the president. I'm talking about the president, the one who called you a liar, the one who said your wife was ugly. That guy, the guy now who you won't say anything about.
I recognize that you actually wonder why you don't have a lot of Republicans that want to come on your show.
I have more than any other show.
And yell at me and insult.
I'm not yelling at you. I'm raising my voice to match your own because you want to play games, Ted, and people are dying.
That's okay, Chris. You're perfectly fine to scream and yell because you know what?
Oh, but you don't.
You're doing it because you don't want to discuss the substance. Like you invited me on the show to actually talk about the Supreme Court and talk about the book One Vote Away, and instead you just want to repeat insults over and over and over again.
Oh, but you're not.
Actually talk about
you just bring up my brother for half the interview because you're such a fair guy.
So that is an interview in the modern day. I feel like we are in an episode of True Blood.
Man, it is oddly satisfying to watch old white men fight. The fact that they're talking about actual serious issues is what's bothersome.
Well, Irina, my partner on this show, made a very interesting point. She said, I have never heard him address Donald Trump calling his wife ugly.
Never.
I've never heard him say, my wife is pretty.
Never. He never disagreed. He may as well be like, yeah, she a cow, but she got some family money. So
I thought it was hilarious. What's funny is that Chris Cuomo, people were upset with him and saying that he was not being diplomatic. But I think about all of the lies, all of the antagonizing that you hear from Kellyanne Conway, and you hear from, Sarah Huckabee Sanders was not a bully, but she was complicit in the lies, and she could be dismissive and ridiculous. So now when you see people pushing back, now they want to, hold everybody to the same standard, but you can't just keep poking at people and think that they're not going to bite.
Yeah, you poke the bear, you get what the bear got. It's like, and I think people have gone unchecked for so long, and we talk about this all the time. A lot of people talk the way they do because they've never been punched in the face.
Yes.
And the second they get punched in the face, they're like, oh, maybe I should. Shh.
Yeah, and that's what happened to Ted Cruz. He was very, you can tell that he was taken aback because Cuomo finally just said, you know what? Because they do bring up his brother, right? He is, he is like, I don't want to talk about him. I don't want to talk about him right now. So we have been, it's been such a big week that I just want to remind you of a couple of things while you're watching these things. And this is not me being a conspiracy theorist, but it's the fact that if you paid attention, we were talking about Donald Trump only paying $750 in taxes. And that was the headline. And that was what was trending. And people were talking about it until the debate. After the debate, we never talked about the taxes again. Yesterday or the day before, some Melania tapes were leaked. And we were talking about how Melania is a horrible human being. And I, for one, don't believe in demonizing her because I think that she is, because she's married to Donald Trump. Many women have been married to the wrong man. I think she's complicit in a lot of the things that he does. And we've given her this victim role. But when you hear these tapes, then you start to understand who she really is. And according to the interview, that woman said that that Melania is Donald Trump's biggest fan. So let's listen to what she was saying in the tapes. And are we playing all three, Irina? Listen to the three different ones.
All these kids that I met, they are here in the shelters because they were brought by it through coyotes, the people, or trafficking, and that's why they put them in jail. And the kids that they go in shelters, and the way they take care of them, it's, they even said, the kids, they say, wow, I will have my own bed, I will sleep on the bed, I will have a cabinet for my clothes. It's so sad to hear it, but they didn't have that in their own countries. Right. They sleep on the floor. They are, they are fed. They are taking care nicely there. But they are not with parents. It's sad. But when they come here alone or with coyotes or illegally, you need to do something. Right. And a lot of like moms and kids, they are taught how to do it. They go over and they say like, oh, we will be killed by gang member. We will be it's so dangerous. So they allowed to stay here. Do you understand?
I do. And they're the ones that are the bad ones.
Yeah, and they are not, it's not true that they would, you know what I mean? Some of them, they're using that lines that, they're not professional, but they're taught by other people what to say to come over and to let them go to stay here, because they could easily stay in Mexico, but they don't want to stay in Mexico because Mexico doesn't take care of them the same as America does.
Wow. Mexico doesn't take care of them. What's interesting is that all of the children that were held at the border and in these concentration camps are not from Mexico. Right. A lot of them from Central America, Guatemala. And it's interesting. No one has ever threatened or accused Melania of being an intellect. And that's okay. She doesn't have to be deep. She doesn't have to be well read and well studied, although she should be because she's the first lady of the United States of America. But I think that it's so interesting to demonize these countries and have these conversations about these countries without discussing the United States' role and what has happened in these countries and why these people come here in the first place. We destabilize their countries. We go in. We do military. We sell guns. There's drug trafficking. There's all of this stuff happening in these countries. We destabilize them. They're poor. They're struggling. You get things like MS-13 that comes from struggle. It comes from hardship. And then this is the result of that. And now you're blaming them for it. And just to say that a bed is enough for your child, where if you
a bed and a cabinet is supposed to be, that is the gold standard at this point, is basically what she's saying. Like, they get a bed and a cabinet, they should be happy. It's ridiculous. And it's that white savior mentality that bothers the shit out of me.
Well, I think that one of the things where you have an expertise in this area is because you're a former social worker.
Yes.
So being a social worker and talking about children who are displaced like that, who are, have this immense amount of trauma that they're dealing with. They come to another country, they're in these camps. I mean, can you give some insight into how that develops and what that becomes later? Because I don't think people understand.
There's a myriad of things that happen from that. Like, one, when you're telling kids that they're better off in this concentration camp, which is pretty disgusting, then they go on not believing that they deserve better. And it gives you all those problems later in life where it's like, well, this is all that I deserve. So then you learn to settle and you learn to do less than what you're capable of because you've been told that this is all you get. And even being a social worker, I've had this problem with previous colleagues where I always tried to mend the family and they were like, no, get them out of there. Just get them out of there. We can put them somewhere better. There's nowhere better than your family if possible. And we're not giving them the resources to make their family unit better or help the family. We're just like, no, we know better. Come over here and get your little aluminum foil blanket, a bed, and a cabinet, and you're good.
Yeah, that's good enough for you.
Yeah.
I wish that was all that she had said, but it's not. There's more.
They say I'm complicit. I'm the same like him. I support him. I don't say enough. I don't do enough.
No.
Where I am, I'm working like my ass off.
I know.
Christmas stuff that, who gives a about Christmas stuff and decoration, but I need to do it, right?
Yeah, but 100%. You have no choice.
And then I do it, and I say that I'm working on Christmas, planning for the Christmas, and they said, oh, what about the children that they were separated? Give me a break. Where they were saying anything when Obama did that?
I know.
I cannot go. I was trying to get the kid reunited with the mom. I didn't have a chance. Needs to go through the process and through the law.
Your messaging. You were so loved.
They would not do the story. We put it out. They would not do the story.
I'm telling you.
You would not believe it. They would not do the story because they would not do the story because they are against us because they're liberal media. Yeah, if I go to Fox, they will do the story. I don't want to go to Fox.
She doesn't want to go to Fox. It's funny. She doesn't want to go to Fox, and she's like, "Fuck Christmas." And that was what. See, the thing is, the gaslighting is what gets me, right? The when we were talking about Happy Holidays versus Merry Christmas, the right wing nuts, they went even more berserk, right? It was why does it have to be Happy Holidays? Christmas is our religion. It's rooted in our religion. It is the birthday of Christ. All of this stuff. Fox News is the way. Fox News is the way. Fox News tells the truth. Everybody else is fake news. Here you have the first lady saying Fox News and Christmas.
And what you mean the babies can't have no Christmas? Like, what are you? It tickled me so. And they are cut from the same cloth, because as you see, what I took from it as well, she fucked the Fox News, fucked Christmas, and fuck whoever I'm talking to, because she wouldn't let her poor assistant at the time get a word in edgewise.
Yeah, she was venting.
She was like, yeah, but no buts. Fuck Christmas, fuck these kids. They mad at me.
And let me tell you something. As a person who I think that you cannot support a politician if you can't hold them to the standard, if you can't question them, if you can't, right. Obama is not exempt from that. So when she said that they didn't do that when Obama was president, give me a fucking break. Does that make it okay? Like, that is where I was confused. Like, is it okay for that? So we shouldn't question you about what's happening right now because it happened during that administration as well. Like, that is it's disgusting it's all political. And that's my point when I try to tell people that they have politicized everything to where it don't matter anymore.
And this administration, that is their whole go-to for everything. There's anytime a question is asked, it goes back to, well, you didn't do that when Obama was here, or no, because I inherited this from Obama. And it always goes back to this. And even their base, it's always attacking the previous administration. Like, we've been here you said it in the first 30 seconds of the debate. I was elected for 4 years, not 3.5. So all these years are your fault, my G.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So now there's one more tape, and it's talking about the infamous jacket that she wore, which was, perceived to be very insensitive at the time. And no matter who it was directed at, it was still, the message was received as being one, apathetic, self-centered, insensitive, and just downright wrong. And here's what she had to say about it.
All the time that he is only one, right, for everything.
So
you understand?
I do. So what prompted you to want to buy that jacket?
I'm driving laborers crazy, that's for sure. And that's what, and they deserve it. You understand?
I know.
And everybody's like, oh my God, this is the worst. This is the worst. After, come on. I know. And they are crazy. Okay.
I had to pause for a minute because I was reading something, and it just really hit me that she wore that jacket for the liberals. The problem that I have with that is that when you are the president of the United States, you are the president of the Republicans and the Democrats. Yeah. And for some reason, we've lost our way. Now you have a first lady who is indirectly throwing shots at people who have a different ideology, but she's still the first lady of the United States. They have a public office, and they are supposed to be, servicing the entire country, despite them disagreeing with the ideologies of people in the other party.
And they're very antagonistic. I can't get the words out, but it's unfortunate because we almost need two presidents at this point. Like, we almost need to succeed from the United States just for a second. I just need a break for a second. I need some time to myself, and then I'll come back to the U.S. once he's out.
Listen, the thing about us at this moment is that, Joe Biden is the presidential candidate for the Democratic Party. There are a lot of problems in the Democratic Party as well, and nobody is ignoring that. But these are the people that are currently occupying, the White House on 1600 Black Lives Matter plaza. I just think that it's very interesting that these tapes get released, and then a few hours later, they come down with coronavirus. Right after the very bad performance.
it's very easy to ignore. Like, it's such a cop-out. It's okay, we know all of these things are happening. We don't have an argument for this. At the debate, Trump basically had a tantrum. So his team is like, I need you not to talk for a little bit. Ooh, we got the Rona. We can't talk. Like, cut it out.
Off kilter, right? And then people say to me, well, Doc, you're such a conspiracy theorist. This is so outlandish. Really? The funny thing to me is you have a government that infected people with syphilis.
Right?
And conducted an experiment with Black people in this country, and later said, oops, my bad.
Yep.
And we got to be shocked that, it can't be in the realm of possibility that they are capable of doing other outlandish, horrific shit. It's just, to me, it's like, we get to pick and choose what conspiracy theories make sense or not. But what the ones that are reality are probably far more worse than the ones that we think of may not be.
Because people of color in general are so forgiving, especially Black and brown people are so forgiving. That's why when somebody does something messed up, we're like, oh, bless his heart. So our theory of what could possibly be happening is always less devious than what's actually happening.
Yeah.
We're over here like, oh, he's just trying to steal some cookies. No, he's trying to blow up the earth. Like, it's
happening.
It's ridiculous. And I think a lot of times now, especially, and I've been talking to friends about this, about getting out to vote. There are so many problems in the Democratic Party, which I completely understand, but Biden's what we got right now. And putting Kanye on the ballot it's not helpful. And we actually will have an adult in the White House who people can talk to and get through. And then those other problems within the Democratic Party, let's work those out once we regain power.
Ooh, Lord. Okay, so there are some headlines that I do not want to skip because I think they're very important. One of them being the officer who killed Breonna Taylor started an online fundraiser so he can retire and focus on his safety. I wanted to speak with you, those of us who consider ourselves Afro-Indigenous, Afro-Latinx, Black from Latin America, have a different reality in this country when it comes to, racism. No doubt they treat everybody bad that is not white. But being a Black woman in this country comes with its own set of PTSD. Yes. So I want to talk to you about this Breonna Taylor case because I lose sleep at night because of it. I have a daughter that is a Black woman in America. How does it make you feel when you hear this, that the officer is raising money to focus on his safety?
It's tormenting, actually. Like, just the case in general, she wasn't able to focus on her safety when she was asleep. Like, I hate when predators victimize themselves. Like, oh, I can't handle it. I'm sorry, I just killed a Black woman in her sleep. But now woe is me is the problem. And living in a country where that is okay, or where people don't value our lives, is, like you said, you lose sleep over it. Like, I don't even know how to reconcile that outside of making sure I have my gun license. Like, it's just, there's nothing you can do with it. And I think that it is disgusting. And anyone who said, oh yeah, poor him, and gave money to the GoFundMe is disgusting. It's fucking gross.
It is gross. And it is something that I hope and we can see in the lifetime of our children, we can see some change because honestly, it's just become commonplace to see Black murdered bodies. We can see them, and then the murders go without any consequences. I wanted to share that there was Harvey Weinstein is facing 6 more sexual assault charges in Los Angeles, and I think that the Me Too movement started with a Black woman, got hijacked by Hollywood, and then it received legs because white women in Hollywood, of value to Hollywood, spoke out. And now you see that, Harvey Weinstein is facing 6 more sexual assault charges in California, but we cannot see a proper indictment in the Breonna Taylor case.
Right.
And I think that if you sexually assault women, you should go to jail and you should see consequences for that. So I'm not trying to minimize the fact that whether those women are valuable or not, but valuable to Hollywood or not. But the truth is that is the reason why they are probably getting justice.
Yeah.
And this woman who was an essential worker is not going to be 30.
There's the Me Too is getting all of that because of what you said, like the influence from Hollywood and whatnot. Even Mike Vick went to jail for dog fighting. Like, the dogs got more justice. The only indictment that we saw or have seen thus far is because the walls got hit. And you're telling me, like, you have to tell a Kayla and I have to tell my friends or whatever, like, you matter less than drywall. And it's unfortunate, and we sit here and we have to watch our people getting killed. We have to watch our people being hunted, essentially. At this point, we're being hunted. And it's every single day. And you know me, like, we're friends. I'm a G. I don't cry. I haven't cried this much in my life. Like, it's so heavy right now that even I'll be watching the damn Tide Pod commercial, be like, oh my God, they're just, because it's all overflowing at this point. We've gone, maybe 15 days this year where someone hasn't died at the hands of a police officer. I think I have to look at the math. Don't quote me on that, but it's not proportional at all.
Man, so much that one of the stories we had that Arena had on here for the day is that parrots were separated after swearing at visitors.
Yep.
That's how bad human beings are, that when you go to the zoo, and zoo is animal jail, by the way. That's what my daughter calls it. She was like, I don't want to go. She was little. You want to go to the zoo? I don't want to go to animal jail. The parrots are swearing at the people. That's how fucked up we are. That the birds are like, get away from me. So Gavin Newsom vetoed a bill passed by legislators to protect reporters who cover protests. It would have barred law enforcement from intentionally assaulting, interfering with, or obstructing these duly authorized representatives. It was number SB 629. So when I tell you that it is just important to vote for your regional and local government officials, as it is the president of the United States, it is. And you need to read and you need to do research and understand all of these laws, these statutes, these what do you call it, propositions, these initiatives that will affect your daily lives. People love Gavin Newsom. They call him a liberal governor. He stands up to Donald Trump. He's also part of the elite class in the state of California and living a very privileged and special life. Yeah. Now, that doesn't have anything to do with those of us who are on the ground on a daily basis. So make sure that you guys and that you inform yourselves. We're not here to endorse any political party, but we have to call people out when they need to be called out.
Too many people are voting just based on sound bites rather than actually doing the research. And it's not, sometimes you may identify with Democrats, but sometimes the Democratic nominee may not be for you. So you have to look at all of it. You have to go through. I just got my little, I don't know where it is, my little book, so I can start reading. We need to have drinks and politics.
We need to go over all of them before we vote, and then maybe we can do it. We can do a special here and just go over some of the things that people may not know. They don't know. Some people were talking to me about Proposition 121 or vote yes on 121. Should I vote no on 123? They didn't know the difference between the two. And, every political party gives you their spin on it so that you can support or not support it based on how it benefits the political party, and we need to figure out how it benefits the people.
You should do a town hall. Town hall. I guess we got to do it soon. Hell, the elections.
Yeah, we should do it during the 14 days right now. Well,
yeah, now he can't say nothing. We need to get in there.
But, also let's just say that in California, they passed the first of its kind law to consider reparations for slavery. Yeah. So we talk about reparations, but reparations hurt Bernie Sanders because he was not for reparations. There have been a lot of talks about reparations, and I think we're going to have someone come on the show and really talk about what reparations actually look like, how that breaks down, why it seems so overwhelming. How do you determine who is actually eligible for that?
That's where I get confused of who, because they say, well, old school, they say just a drop and you black. It's a lot of drops. So how do we accurately, I'm all for reparations, don't get me wrong. I just don't know how it gets disseminated or to who or what. Because all black people weren't necessarily slaves. Not because some people escaped and did whatever. So I just don't know. What that looks like. And then do we base it on what is like 23andMe or Ancestry.com? And because we didn't have records, we weren't allowed to read. So not like we have, that's the same thing with even looking for, I was trying to find my language in Native American, like my Native American culture, which I then found out was a farce. Thank you, 23andMe, ruined my life. But we don't have written records. So there are far more white people who can claim their Native American ancestry because they were able to write shit down and we weren't. So I don't know how we do that.
Yeah, no, it's that's one of the concerns, that there will be white people who can justify that they have black people in there. When you think about Essie Mae, Strom Thurmond's daughter, who was the daughter of a slave that a white politician in this country who actually went to the Supreme Court and won, but I mean, just to think about all of the mixing and all of the rape that took place and all of the things that happened, how do we actually determine who's eligible? Certainly there are many of us who are descendants of slaves, but our reparations are owed to us from Spain. Haitian people are owed by the Dutch owed people in the Caribbean, the French owed people in the Caribbean, and slavery in America is a very specific slavery, and that it should be repaired.
Yes, there has to be something that has to happen. I don't know what it looks like personally. And like I said, 23andMe ruined my life. I realized that I am a white woman and I have not been given the respect as a white woman that I should have been getting this whole time. I am 30% all the whites. It was like, I'm real white, like British, French, and Irish, I believe.
I'm scared of doing a 23andMe because I feel like there's a conspiracy theory that they sell them to the databases for, because we did a story on the Young Turks where there was one of those companies they were doing those tests and they were selling the results to the FBI, and then they were arresting people who were related to people based on DNA. They were capturing some criminals.
Here's the thing, for me personally, I have had so many fingerprints and background checks just being a social worker. So it was nothing. They're not, if they find some criminals, then they're just gonna find some criminals. Like all the criminals in my family about dead by now. So it's like, I'm sure I got 2-3 brothers and sisters out there. I don't know what they're doing. I don't want to find them. That's why I check the no box. Like, don't tell nobody we got the same DNA. Do not. I don't want them finding me. I don't have bail money.
There are some people in Washington who are doing their best to do a good job. And I would say that Katie Porter is one of them. She's gone viral quite a few times. when she questioning people, and she comes there with the receipts. Like, she comes there, she brings her dry razor board, and she's always coming to take someone to task. So take a look at Katie talking to Mark Alice, who is a former Big Pharma CEO.
Do you know what this number is? Does it ring any bells?
But I think you're referring to my compensation in some way.
How did the drug improve? If I were to look at a pill and analyze it from 2005, when it cost $215, and I was looked today at when it cost $763, would that pill be the same?
I understand your question about the pill. The pill, the manufacturing for it would be the same.
Any increase in the price of Revlimid would also increase your bonus by increasing earnings. Isn't that right, Mr. Ellis?
If revenues increased and expenses did not, then earnings would be enhanced.
Thank you. Do you know how much you personally received in bonuses over 2 years, the last 2 years, just because Celgene raised the price of this one drug, Revlimid?
I receive very generous compensation, but I don't know the exact number that you're referring to.
In fact, you personally received $500,000 personally just by tripling the price of Revlimid. The drug didn't get any better. The cancer patients didn't get any better. You just got better at making money. You just refined your skills at price scouting.
So I think it's important to point out the people who are trying, because there are some people who are really trying, and she's always, every time that I've seen her, when she's trending, she's holding somebody and taking them to task. I think it's important. Someone sent me a message the other day on social media asking me, what do I think is the biggest problem with our political system? And I will continue to say to those of you who think that I am trying to turn America into communism, as if I had that kind of power, is that the capitalism goes hand in hand with white supremacy. And the reason why our country is out of control is because the corporations are running it. And Big Pharma has a lot to do with why this country lacks the balance and the nurturing that it needs for its people. So that is one example of the gross misuse of power and dollars that people who are desperate for medication and having health issues are used as pawns in a game to provide these people with a lifestyle that many of us will never see.
Yep. And that's especially with, as we were talking about earlier, when we said that, like, when they infected people with syphilis, and then we're trying to act like it's so out of this world for them to do devious shit. That's devious. And my mother was a survivor, and now she's battling again. That medication has gone up tremendously. And if she wasn't still working, like, I wish she would retire, but thank God she's still working because it's covered. She has a pill that costs, I want to say, like $200 per pill that she has to take. Like, you have to take it to get better. And it's disgusting. And thank God for her and her whiteboard calling them out.
Man, her whiteboard, and when she shows up with that whiteboard, you're in trouble.
You're red.
Not giving her kids at home for this bullshit.
Yeah.
In other news, Disney is laying off 28,000 employees as this pandemic hammers its theme parks. And the reason that this story is so important is because we talk about the pandemic and the loss of businesses and how so many businesses have been hurt. You hear people saying, oh, the Red Lobster in my neighborhood is closed, or this. Those companies have insurance, and a lot of those corporations will recover and they will be okay, because if you can own a chain of Red Lobsters, you're probably doing okay. But a lot of people are losing their jobs. And These people who work at theme parks, who we don't think about because those jobs are jobs that don't make a lot of money and we don't value in this capitalistic, materialistic, superficial society that we live in. Those 28,000 employees that are there to be of service to those people who can afford, who can even afford to go to Disney World and Disneyland, which a ticket is now over $100 a person. Yeah. And I just don't think that we realize how affected the communities are and how affected people are, the people on the ground, which are the people who always matter the most to me.
Yep. And I think a lot of people aren't looking at it. Someone, I forget who I was talking to, but they're like, well, they should have had savings. A lot of people aren't making enough living wages to save. It's not about irresponsibility or anything like that. They're literally living check to check. So many people, and I used to do restaurants. So I have a lot of my friends who are suffering now because they're not serving, or the restaurants are either being shut down or they're dealing with only 25% of the capacity, where it was already a struggle. Now it's like, well, you still can work, but you're making less than you would on unemployment at this point. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's really, really bad. And that's 28,000 people that are, I don't know if this is a Disney worldwide or I didn't read the story, I didn't get to it. But if it is worldwide, I mean, those are people in Florida, people in Los Angeles, or Anaheim or in the surrounding areas. Yeah. The people all over the world
that's the Disney cruises. That's all the Disney.
Yeah, and those are entertainers, which a lot of people, people love entertainers because entertainers are who keep you going through these moments. Everybody's binge watching. You have a lot of these people talking about people in Hollywood and the actors and this, but those are the people who are getting you through this moment. And those people who work at Disney, when it's hot and they have to wear a goofy outfit, or they're serving the hamburgers to people who are being rude to them, those are all human beings. So 28,000 human beings lost their jobs, and people are still politicizing this pandemic instead of really trying to find solutions and how to make the world better for us in this moment, because this is our reality.
And I don't think a lot of people touched on, as far as them being entertainers, people aren't thinking about the entertainers. What they're doing is they're coming to our IGs or our lives and they're getting all this good free entertainment, and like, you need to keep going. And I was like, but I need to also keep paying this rent. And I shared with you before, I was catfished. A childhood friend who basically hit me up and said, I have a job for you. And I got excited because I need all the jobs. And I was like, oh, a corporate gig. And it was like, haha, got you. This is such and such. I just wanted to get into contact with you. The shit's not a game. Right. Entertainers, restaurant workers, all of the people that people take for granted, but make their lives so much better. Human beings are being affected. And I think more people need to take that seriously.
Yeah, I agree. Or the parrots are going to cuss you.
The parrots are going to cuss your ass out. I'm going to get a parrot.
And don't let the eagles get involved. They got cousins. I tell you.
Listen, you saw the movie Birds. This shit is going to go crazy in a minute.
I'm talking about, and that was the thing that somebody, Rodney Rodriguez, made a good point. These debates, they've become so political. You go to Twitter, you go to Facebook, the conversations that people are having are whatever points they can make about the other side to throw the other side under the bus. Yeah. What we're not having conversations about are like the daily lives of people who are struggling right now, the essential workers, the people who don't have the glamorous jobs where they or the big time jobs where they're making $200,000, $300,000, that don't have a savings, who are trying to survive this economy going up and down because people are playing politics with it. Unemployment has also been fluctuating. Some people are really suffering because of it. $1,200. What did it do? What did $1,200 do for you?
Not a motherfucking thing. And I didn't even get the full 12.
Right.
I think I got 900, I believe. think it was something like that. But and then they go on recess in the middle of talking about how our lives are going to change. They're like, oh, we got to go on vacation for a second. Y'all be all right. And it's not okay. Like even at the max in California, you're getting $1,800 a month if you max out on unemployment. And then the max on unemployment, let's say you're getting $1,800 a month, you still don't necessarily qualify for like food stamps or Cal Fresh because they say that's too much. It's a ridiculous thing. Somebody I know was trying to get food stamps and they were like, oh, you got approved. You can get $16 a month. The fuck you gonna do with $16 a month for groceries?
I'll tell you what you're not gonna do. You're not gonna eat.
At all.
You're not gonna do anything. Also they've made it so that you can go to fast food restaurants with food stamps because they're all in it. So that you can go to McDonald's, you can go to whatever it is and go buy some food.
Everything that's bad for you can get.
Yeah. So listen, I read some of the comments. I agree with many of you. We keep begging for a seat at the table. We need to start creating our own tables. We need to stop investing in our own oppression. That example of, Gavin Newsom blocking, vetoing that law into coming, to that protects law enforcement from, battering. And it's just important because part of, the way they start transitioning into authoritarian governments is by attacking the press first.
Yeah.
And those are the people who are telling us what's going on. So many of them are. But I just want to tell you that as we head towards this election, and those of us that live in truth, we have to stop thinking that at some point that just in November, life is going to change because of whoever is in office. It probably is not going to change that much. And I stand by what I say, that there has never been in an administration in this government that has ever been fully whole and, compassionate and thoughtful and aided in the progress of Black people of color in this country. So let's just be clear that whether Donald Trump is president or Joe Biden, things are not going to magically get better for people of color, Black people in this country. And we have to stop romanticizing that as if in November life is going to get better. But what we can do is take note of all of the things that we are that we're voting on, because those district attorneys, those judges, or those the superintendents at the
city council, everybody, yes.
Yeah, we have to think about who we're voting for. Mm-hmm. And we got to really understand what we're putting our money into, because a lot of times we do invest in companies and corporations that are not good for us as a people. I think that is a good idea, Vanessa, that we should have a special edition where we go over specifically for at least California, talk about the propositions and the laws and the things that are on the ballot, and maybe answer some questions and help people. And I encourage those of you who are in other parts of the country that you participate. And listen, there are some older Black people and brown people who believe in voting because voting means something different to them.
Yes.
Don't argue them down about what your stand is on voting. Escort them to the polls.
Yeah,
yeah, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people, when you say they romanticize the election, we do. And everybody went out to vote for Obama. Everybody went out, but they didn't go out 2 years later we sent them in there with no backup. And that's the same thing that's going to happen if Biden gets elected, if we don't do the locals first. Like, you have to do your local elections, and you have to make sure that all that is set in place, so the person that you have romanticized can actually do the shit that you want them to do. But you can't send somebody in with no ammo.
Yeah. I see Julissa Arce Raya, my girl, is in the comments. I want you to participate with us and help us educating people on what the laws are in the state of California. Maybe we can set this up and we can really break them down and go through them and just get people. listen, those old white people, they show up and they vote. They believe in the vote. They will always show up and vote. And if you don't believe in it because you feel apathetic, just know that they're not voting in your best interest. They're voting to keep you out of their neighborhoods. They're voting so that they can have the best health care, that they can have the best schools in their neighborhoods for their grandchildren. They're voting so that they can have those sheriffs that are going to make sure that they clobber you when you go into their neighborhoods. You got to think about it from a perspective, a holistic perspective. What they vote for is to maintain their privilege and the status quo in this country, and to have all of the things that are oppressive to you.
All facts.
So I want to say thank you to all of you who showed up today, and appreciate you participating in the conversation. And like I said, I am an advocate, a proponent, a supporter of people who defend themselves. And so as we take on this very judgmental tone, when we see people pushing back, see people slapping back, we see people talking back, let us remember that affects our worthiness. We are worth being respected and being treated. And I'm all about that. And so I think that it's important for us to make sure that we are supporting each other, and that we are looking out for our young and our elderly, because they are vulnerable in this moment. I always respond to some of the comments. Real Tizzle K360. I am very Taína. I'm Afro Taína. I appreciate you telling me that I am, but I actually was raised by my great-grandfather Sixto Alamo, who was not only Taíno in look, but Taíno in culture. But thank you. I appreciate it. I know my ancestry. I also acknowledge my African blood, which I'm not ashamed of. And I don't think that is necessary for me to speak on one and not the other. But I'm very proud of my Taíno roots. My email address actually has Taína in it. Those of you who know me know that. But thanks. I appreciate you. Vote at all levels. Yes, Zeta. Thank you, 9-8 Latimer. Bless you back. We appreciate you. Those of you who have different perspectives, I see you here. Molly Spencer, thank you for showing up every week. We appreciate you. Zay always shows up. Love you, Zay. That's one of our regulars. I want to do some shout outs today. Yamanika told me that I need to do shout outs. She's like, you talk, and shout out your people. So, people. Kudos, Doc Cam always shows up. We appreciate it. So I just think it's important to say thank you to the village. I love all my tribes of Israel, Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, and we love you back. And Mo's Tube One, thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for doing the show, Dialogue. We appreciate it. Vanessa, tell them where they can find you.
I was like, go back to Mo's. His picture look cute, kind of. I'm sorry, I'm playing. Wait. Hold on.
Let's turn into a dating series. Whatever we can do here. Go ahead.
Right, whatever. Okay, where to find me? I am at Vanessa Graddick on everything. And I'm pretty sure I'm if not the only Vanessa Graddick on the internet, one of two. So I'm very fine. Easy to find. And
you are performing tomorrow, you said? Or you're performing?
No, my show's, I have a show tonight, but it is a backyard poolside show. So I can't put out people's address and whatnot. But still doing all the Zoom shows and everything. So
no, we're not. So yes, and so look out for Vanessa. You'll see her in some of the stuff that I got going on, because we always work together. I want to say thank you to all of you for showing up. Hey man, the world is made up of different people who come from different places and think differently, and that's okay. We don't all have to think alike. What we need to do is respect one another. Black Lives Matter will continue to matter. Latinx lives matter. I don't have a problem putting the X at the Latin for if I'm respecting somebody's identity. We go and we grow. And Yasharala, Yahweh, according to the Holy Bible, I can't read that one right now because I can't see it. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you showing up, and I appreciate you speaking. And India showed up today, so thank you so much. We love you. We will see you next week here on Truth Serum, and Wednesday. Don't forget to tune in, where we will be breaking down new jokes. See you next time.
Bye.